A foe unmasked. It's Kylo. It's Kylo! Yes! I love Kylo. I love his character. I've always had a real soft spot for him in this game. He was my first Zeta. I just gear 12'd him just because I could. He's a lot of fun. So this is the first kind of piece of the Last Jedi that we're getting. And so I'm going to have to hold off on making conclusions. I think this is the first of many pieces that we're going to get from the movie. So I'll kind of go over the kit of him. And we also get his ship. Yes! I'm not usually excited about ships, but his ship I'm very excited for. And then we also get a First Order Special Forces TIE fighter. And then we also get the actual, so we get the pilot and the fighter. So we're getting 2 new characters and 2 ships. So Kylo and the First Order Special Forces pilot, and then both of their ships. Okay, so this is the first piece of The Last Jedi, so I'm like super giddy, so let's get into it. Okay, so he is First Order, obviously, and he's doing his awesome lightsaber flick thing. I love good animations. So he's a tank. So let's look at his kit. So and I gotta say right off the bat, so one of my biggest design critiques of the original Kylo was him being hunched over. He's never hunched over in the movie. He's always very erect. And so the fact that this one is standing much taller makes me happy inside. So his basic tenacity down, that's good if you want a lot of debuffs. But the bigger part is he's going to be taunting if he's attacking someone with a debuff. So if you want him taunting all the time, debuffs are going to be good. But I feel like if you're doing a lot of debuffs, he's going to be taunting a lot of time. So I would have a little bit of concerns about his survivability. So that's something to keep in mind with the rest of his kit and who you're pairing him with. The first special, it's interesting. It's like stop hammer time type thing. I almost wanted it to be like his mind tricks, or like a really intimidating, like threatening thing. But so he's dispelling. So it's not any dispel is excellent. Every team has a taunter. Dispels are very, very useful, and it'll stun, and this can't be evaded and can't be resisted. That part of it is huge. And irresistible, unavoidable stun is excellent, and this will make him taunt. So it's very interesting that he can taunt on his basic and his special. That I think that has the potential to be very annoying. It's kind of like an auto taunter where it's happening more often than, because I think taunters that taunt just on one special are kind of useless now. You don't see them coming up except maybe Shore Trooper because it's so often, or Old Ben because it triggers again. But that's very interesting that he has multiple, and he recovers a little bit of health. The old Kylo was recovering protection when you Zeta'd him. Now we're starting to see a little bit more of health protection, so if that'll play into how you mod him, and again, who you pair him with, if you maybe want to pair him with someone who gives him health back. The other special, Focus Raged, I do like this animation. The like spin move. I can't wait to see the lightsaber battles in the next movie. So he does damage and he recovers health, so more health recovery. And if they're stunned, he does double damage. So this is reminding me of the original Kylo in the game, his second special that will stun or do huge damage. So this kind of feels like a tweaked version of that, which is cool because it's the evolution of the same character. And then he has a lead and a unique. So the lead looks insane. Like, First Order allies get a huge damage boost and speed which I think from how I've seen First Order doing in Arena, that will be most welcome. So this is already better than Phasma. And they're also getting turn meter on a critical hit. That part is really big. That's the part that really makes me kind of go, oh, oh. Ooh, ooh. And then the last piece is whenever they get a status effect, which I feel like, I mean, with Kylo, he'll be taunting, but there's also a lot of advantage floating around First Orders. They're going to recover health and protection. And that last piece, the health and protection recovery, I think is where the Zeta comes into play, because the Zetas that we've been seeing lately have been that kind of portion, especially with like Ewoks. That's what the Zeta was talking about. There's also another Zeta on his unique. He's recovering health when he's taking damage. And so we have, again, even more health recovery. Maybe I'm like reading too much into it, and that the old Kylo was recovering a lot of protection and this one's recovering a lot of health. I don't know. But he also give advantage to someone, so that'll play into if you Zeta his leadership. Just every time someone gets advantage, they'll get a little bit of protection and health back. Then the other thing is this Kylo has counter. I remember with his basic, he will taunt if the enemy has any debuff, and there's likely going to be a lot of debuffs floating around, so he's going to be taunting a lot, and his counter is 100% when he's taunting. So I don't know if it's going to refresh his taunt or how that'll work. He still takes reduced damage from any percent health effects, which are a pain if you're using resistance and trying to kill him, but that feeds into the old Kylo that was giving himself damage over times and wasn't being hurt that much for it. And the last part of his unique is that he starts taunting at the beginning of each encounter. So he starts off taunting, and then his basic can have him taunt, and his first special can have him taunt. So there's lots of different ways for him to taunt, which are going to make him very annoying. Before, the only taunter that the First Order had was a First Order Stormtrooper, and you could just dispel it and be done, and then take out First Order TIE Pilot or the other big damage dealers, and it wasn't a big deal. This, if he's continually taunting, it has the potential to be very annoying. All right, ship. This ship. I think we're all very excited to see this in the movie. I can't wait to use it. It just looks so cool. Now, this ship, my initial reaction with this is that of all of these 4 kits that I'm going to talk about, this is the one that it seems just outrageously OP. And the big thing about it being OP is kind of the basic and the unique. So the basic, I mean, the spin, come on, like, tell me you don't want to use that. Oh. But one of the reasons I say the ship is so OP is it's a stun on anyone that has more than 50% turn meter. So if you can just assist him, there's just stuns everywhere. Like, that could be crazy and very useful. But crazy. And then his first special is dealing a ton of damage if he has advantage, and he gets advantage from his basic. If they don't, so either he stuns them or he gets advantage. If he gets advantage, then his first special would be doing a ton. If it defeats an enemy, gain turn meter and foresight. It looks like it's hitting pretty hard. I hesitate with anything that happens when an enemy is defeated, because that's just so rare. You're not killing many tunes in a battle, or in this case, many ships. And I feel like it makes you really over-strategize, because then you'll be trying to use Kylo to kill someone to get that buff, and you'll be like waiting for his turn to try and kill them, and then they might get healed back up. It's kind of weird. And it has to be with that attack. It's not just if Kylo kills them, so you can't call him to assist or something. It has to be that attack. So it sounds nice to gain turn meter and foresight, but that part of it, I just feel like it's not going to be used that much. And you'll be trying to use it, and it'll mess up your strategy. His unique, though. So when he takes damage, or when he damages target locked, which you'll probably be using him with the First Order TIE Pilot, which is a very good ship that fuels on target lock also, it'll start stacking speed and offense. And that's just, and it keeps stacking. So there's no limit to it. So if you don't take it out, is he just going to have infinite turns and just it hit infinitely hard? I don't know. That seems kind of insane. And I mean, but the thing is, if I'm fighting that, then this is the ship I'm going to take out first, right away. Why you'd have to. So the foresight would be very important, but you have to kill someone to get it up in the first place to try and protect him. So this might have to be paired with Biggs, so you have a taunter to protect him. I'm not sure. Maybe we need another taunting first order ship or something. All right. Tune number 2. This guy looks so bad. Ooh. This is an attacker for first order. It's another TIE pilot. It's a special forces TIE pilot. It's the fact that they're calling it SF. I'm going to think Sun Fac every time. But okay. So his basic does defense down, which at first I was kind of like, whatever, what's with all this defense down, first Ventress and now this? Why defense down? Who cares? But then I realized, I remember Kylo, he'll taunt whenever he attacks someone with a debuff. So that will be kind of used in that way. It's kind of like with Nihilus, you're wanting just any debuff to fuel his special. So maybe with this Kylo, this Unmasked Kylo, you want just any debuff to get him taunting more often. And then this is more advantage, so first order just has advantage all over the place. And if you Zeta Kylo's leadership, then you'll be recovering that the protection and the health. Animation is standard. Doesn't blow my mind, but I guess every animation can't blow my mind. All right, the first special, it's called Drumfire, which I find very interesting. I'm curious of why it's named Drumfire. But, so it's an AoE, which immediately makes me go, because the meta right now is Luke. And AoE fighting Luke is going to commit suicide. And, I mean, Kylo is probably going to be the one taunting, so he'll probably die. So, right now, again, we don't know what we're going to get, but I'm thinking we need some stealth to protect these, because an AoE is a horrible idea versus a Luke team. So maybe one of the existing first order tunes will get rework with stealth, or maybe a new one that will get maybe a Snoke. How cool would it be if Snoke had stealth? But again, and then this is doing more defense down, so just lots of defense down. And then he does give speed up to all first order allies, which is cool to get them going a little bit faster. And that's a buff, so playing into Kylo's leadership Zeta. And then there's one more special. This is calling an assist. So I feel like you will probably be using Kylo as a leader now because his leader is so much better. It's because, I mean, his leadership is giving offense, speed, and turn meter. That's way better than just calling random assists, in my opinion. But the assist, it gives advantage. So again, more buffs if you have that Zeta on Kylo. And it'll stun. So another stun outside of Kylo's. And the thing that I'm thinking with all of this advantage floating around is the other meta right now is a Kenobi lead with Zeta Barris. And Zeta Barris, if you're having a crit dependent team, is not so fun. I don't know if they can hit hard enough to get through it. Some very hard hitting tunes can get through Zeta Barris and kill her. I'm not sure. So when I'm thinking about the ideal team, so it'll be these three that you see here. It'll be the new Kylo, Phasma, this new TIE Fighter, and then the old Kylo. And then for the 5th spot, maybe First Order Stormtrooper if you want to balance out the taunting. First Order TIE Pilot can hit really hard. But I was also thinking you could put one of the other OP tunes in there, like Nihilus with all these debuffs, or Luke just because Luke is so OP, Kenobi, something like that. You could put Zeta Barris in there. You could put, if you put Nihilus in there, then you can annihilate Zeta Barris. That's how I fight Zeta Barris, is I just annihilate her. So something to think about. Again, we don't know what we're going to get, so it's hard to make any final judgments on the full team. But with all of the health and protection recovery and these stuns going around, I do think that these look more promising for territory battles, the dark side territory battles that we are eventually going to get, because, and probably Galactic War as well, because it kind of it has a survivability feel to it. So that's where I'm kind of leaning at the moment. I haven't completely ruled them out with Arena, because who knows, but it seems like territory battles and Galactic War would be good. Okay, last thing. Let's look at this other new ship. All right, so we have another TIE fighter. I'm interested to see what all the TIE fighters look like, if they're going to be like the X-Wings and you can't tell them apart. I never know who's who. Okay. So this is another TIE fighter that can target lock on its basic, just pretty standard. The special is an AoE, which is somewhat rare in ships to do an AoE. And it also has a chance to remove turn meter. The chance is pretty low and the turn meter is pretty low, so I don't know how great that is. At least with target lock though, it's doubled and it can't be resisted. The not being resisted is nice. The double set takes it to 40%, so that is better. But without the target lock, it's not super notable. Then the other one deals special damage and inflict ability block. It's a very useful debuff in ships. I feel like it's probably the best debuff other than target lock. The other cool thing, and it's a really, this is just the footage that we have, but the GIF doesn't show it, but this attack ignores protection, which is a cool mechanic, especially when you're fighting the Akbar leads or something where they're regaining protection, or Biggs who will regain protection all of the time. The thing that I'm a little bit sad about this ability though is it's a random ally to assist. So ideally you would be calling Kylo to assist all the time. The fact that it's random I think makes this a lot weaker. If you could pick the ally to assist like you can with Jedi Counselor, then this would be just the super power duo. But the fact that you can't pick it is a little bum. So I'm not as excited about this ship as I am about Kylo's, but we'll see. I would love to have like a full First Order fleet with Kylo's old ship, which is so complicated I still haven't even learned how to use it, but I think it's fun. I'm not sure. I don't know. Every time I use it, I'm like, what am I doing? But so that's our first little pieces of goodies from, let's go back to Kylo. Let's look at Kylo. Yeah, let's look at his second special because that's just so nice. There it is. So this is our first little sneak peek at the Last Jedi, and it's nice to see that the First Order is coming out first, so we're getting some dark side love. I just did a video talking about how crazy Resistance is, so it's nice that the First Order is getting built up, and we'll see what comes next.